Okay, so we've done kingdom Eubacteria, kingdom Archaebacteria, kingdom Protista, kingdom Plantae, and now we're going to do kingdom Animalia. This is probably a happy moment for some of you because organisms in this group are a little bit more familiar, but I hope that I'll maybe surprise you with a few others that you didn't know about. Your book will cover what is an animal and give you a good definition, and then we'll deal with invertebrates first, and then vertebrates. The characteristics of animals are as follows. Animals share that they are multicellular and eukaryotic. They do not have cell walls. They have a period of embryonic development. They are consumers. They can move. And they have complex tissue. And they are diploid, which means that all of their cells have 2 sets, at least, of chromosomes. What you'll notice in this that some of these are red and some of these are white. The red ones you see here are the ones that I would like for you to know. All right? So, multicellular, eukaryotic, consumer, can move with complex tissues. And there you have it. There's some information about organization with animals. Animals can consist of just a few cells with maybe a few tissue layers. They also can be very complex with full-on organ systems. And I'm using words that hopefully some of you will recognize from earlier in the year, that cells can organize into tissues, tissues can organize into organs, organs can organize into organ systems, and you ultimately can have an entire organism from that. Of course, you can also have an organism made out of one cell, but that's a different kingdom, not this one. How the body can be organized in animals can be different. Some animals are bilaterally symmetrical, where the 2 sides of the body mirror each other, like most insects. They can be radially symmetrical, where the body is organized around a central point, like an anemone or starfish. Or they can be asymmetrical, where you have no symmetry at all, like a sponge. You can see some examples of that here. I have asymmetry with the sponge. I have radial symmetry with the starfish. And I have bilateral symmetry with the lobster down here. Let's see if you can guess those correctly here. So we now have an idea of what an animal is, but let's discuss how they are classified. Scientists divide kingdom Animalia into 2 major groups. Invertebrates, which make up about 98% of all animal species. You can see here there are over 1 million arthropods alone, all right? And then vertebrates, which only make up about 2% of animal species. All vertebrates, including us, make up only about 50,000 species. So if you look over here at mollusks, there are over twice as many mollusks as there are vertebrate species. Crazy, right? Okay, by definition, an invertebrate is a multicellular organism that does not have a vertebra or a backbone, or more accurately, a structure called a notochord, which is sort of the precursor to the backbone. There's a video, I'll probably show you this in class, so I'm not going to worry about it right now. But if you look at just the variety of species you can find in this group, it's pretty extensive. One of the most important sort of developments in organisms is the development of a gut. A gut is a specialized structure for digesting and absorbing food nutrients. All invertebrates have a gut except for the sponges and some of the parasitic worms, because sponges have a unique way of doing things. They're very simple. We'll discuss those in a little bit. Parasitic worms, because they're parasites, absorb directly from the organism that they're inside of, and so they don't need to have a gut. Surrounding the gut, you sometimes find a body cavity, or what we call a coelom. This provides an open space for the organs to grow and to function. It's sort of a protective little cavity. And these structures, the gut and the coelom, both are considered to be evolutionary advancements because they allow animals to digest food outside of its cells. And we may have to talk about why that would be an advancement. Does anyone have any ideas? In animals without a gut, you have to digest inside of their cells. So every cell has to be responsible for doing digestion. If you can create a specialized structure that takes care of that process, then they can do it for all of the cells, and all the other cells don't have to worry about digestion. They can worry about specializing in something else, if that makes sense. Okay, so what a gut actually looks like. Okay, if we pretend, say, that this is sort of a really simple worm, all right? In the middle of a worm's body, you have the gut, which is this tiny little structure right here. And outside of that, you have a fully lined, with other cells, open body cavity. All right, that body cavity we also call a coelom. All right, and this is a true coelom because it is fully lined. There's cells that surround the gut, and then there's cells that surround the outer part of the gut cavity as well. There's some variety in what you see in invertebrates. Some might have a very simple sac-like gut, like Planaria. Earthworms, which is very similar to the example I just went through over here on the left, have a complete gut that has an opening on one end and an exit on another end and is fully lined with other cells with a coelom. So there you go. Another thing that you see happening in invertebrates is the development of full organ systems. As animals evolved and became more complex, they developed these systems to perform basic functions and eliminate the need for each cell to take care of every life functioning function to survive. Do you think you can name some organ systems found in animals? Some important organ systems are skeletal, muscular, circulatory, digestive, nervous, reproductive. There's others, but some of you may be able to name. If you look at this picture over here on the right, can you name what organ system these belong to? There's some interesting things that some invertebrates are able to do. Planaria, which are a kind of flatworm, have an ability to regenerate or grow back body parts that have been separated. It sounds crazy, but like if you cut, see this is the whole Planaria here. And if you cut this Planaria into 3 separate pieces, each piece will actually restructure themselves to form a new Planaria. So it's like cloning by cutting. And there is a point at which, you have to have a certain amount of tissue in order for the regeneration to occur. So some small cuts won't necessarily cause a regeneration, but there's a lot of cuts that will, so crazy. And I think we will go ahead and end right there. The next tutorial will be about various types of invertebrates, so maybe you'll get to learn about this little guy. Pretty cool. All right. Talk to you later.